What is up, Sixers Nation? Back together here today for another live Yap Sesh. Talk Birds, talk Sixers. Eagles are in the NFC Championship game, so we'll be doing these as long as they keep kicking and winning games. Hopefully, they can pull out a win today at home against the Washington Commanders. We'll get into that, preview that game, talk X factors, injuries, and then we'll get into finish this off with Sixers. Talk about the game last night against the Bulls, got the dub, little win streak starting here. Talk about injury updates and upcoming schedule and standings, kind of give another rundown there on the Sixers. If you got questions too, put those in the chat here. Appreciate everyone that has subscribed to us. We hit 400 the other day. We'll let you know when we announce the winner for that. We'll probably do that as a pregame to one of the upcoming games, either Tuesday or Wednesday next time we go live for one of the games, but stay tuned for that. But let's hop into it here. We got Eagles Commanders at 3 p.m. Eastern time, so in about an hour on Fox. Eagles are 6-point favorites in this game, which is kind of where the Packers game, Packers and the Rams game are kind of all around this part. So the Eagles, home field advantage the whole entire playoffs, luckily, since the Commanders knocked off the Lions last week, who had the 1 seed originally in this playoff. So certainly favored almost by a touchdown here. But one of the big storylines, and this kind of goes with our injury update here, is Cam Jurgens. There's been a lot of back and forth in the media. His back has been bothering him a lot, and it looked like he was not going to play, and then he was out for a few minutes, and then he's officially active for this game. This is from Ari here. The hashtag Eagles are going to make Cam Jurgens active for today's game, so he's not officially out, but he's considered likely to start and only expected in for emergency situations. So certainly interesting there. You can literally see here, only about 50 minutes before he tweeted this out here, he was actually expected to be out. He went through a bunch of pregame warmups. It's his back, which has really been bothering, which is certainly something that's very important as an offensive lineman, right? You can't have your back bothering or anything like that. Got starting center for the Eagles. He's been filling in for Jason Kelce the whole entire year. He's had a great season so far. Certainly an integral part, as the center is a lot more important than some of the other position guards and such. And
he's a Pro Bowler, man.
Yeah, no, he Pro Bowler, has had an amazing season. Looked like he was going to be able to start for a little bit there. Went through some stretches here. I actually got a video here from John Clark of Cam Jurgens kind of stretching before the game. This was at 12:54. So this was about a little over an hour ago. On the field, running and stretching. Play this video here.
I saw other videos of him squatting. He looked a little tense. I mean, the main issue is the back, and that's a big loss, man. And not having him out there, man.
Yeah, no. It says this was again a little over an hour ago, trying to see if he can play through a back injury. He's very limited at practice on Friday. So we did practice a little bit, but limited again for that. And big loss. The Eagles again not officially out. It says are emergency situations. We'll see what that is, whether it's because Dick is going to be filling in for him, whether it's Dickerson struggling or an injury or anything like that. I don't know what that exactly entails. That's very open-ended there. At the very least, I guess even though he's kind of out and not starting, there's at least that kind of safety blanket where he could potentially come in, which makes it seem too it's not as bad as it may seem originally. With that, but it comes down to not just missing an offensive lineman, but center is, I would say, is as important as the tackle positions, but it's certainly more important than the guard positions and the chemistry you have with Jalen Hurts, which from Adam Schefter here, Jalen Hurts had 73 NFL starts and has only taken snaps from Cam Jurgens and Jason Kelce. Jurgens can't play today, which we know now. This is again for a little over an hour ago. Dickerson's going to shift from guard to center, and then Tyler Steen's actually going to get the start at guard. He's going to replace Dickerson in his normal spot here. So comes down to chemistry. I know Kelce had that kind of reins for all those years, and then Jurgens took over. I feel like we talked about it in previous shows before in lives. Jurgens had a very, very bad start to the season where he botched a few snaps.
Yeah, man.
And was oh, geez, this is going to be a long season without Jason Kelce. But he quickly, fixed that up. He's a really good offensive lineman. Hasn't had really any issues that I can remember throughout the season outside of just that first game. And Hurts and the Eagles offense, they run a lot out of shotgun. And, snapping, all that kind of stuff, timing too. Like they do a lot of motion where Devonta Smith or AJ Brown, whoever is, tight ends are motioning across past in between Hurts and the center. That's all about timing too. And that comes with chemistry, playing time, reps, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So just like the small things outside of just blocking, because we know Tyler Steen can block, we know Landon Dickerson can block. It's small things like getting snaps off, clean snaps, timing, all those kind of small things too that Jurgens, during this year has, kind of figured out and played very well with Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, I mean, the Eagles' offensive line, their starting five they've had for pretty much the majority of this year, that's been, knock on wood, healthy throughout the entire playoffs. They've been amazing, if not rated the number one offensive line in the NFL for a good reason. It opens up holes for Saquon Barkley, who's one of the best running backs, if not the best this season by far in the league. I mean, just what he's doing with the line, the guys up front play a huge role. And like you said, not only does it shift Dickerson from guard to center, but it also brings in a backup in Tyler Steen. But you can see, hey, Dickerson has some experience in this, man.
Yeah, no, and not just chemistry with like Hurts in the center, but also just chemistry with the whole entire offense line. That's one unit, right? They work in unison, double teaming, switching off on and off guys. The tackles, I mean, Mailata and Lane Johnson run. They play a lot on the island, so a lot of one-on-one. So everything in the middle, coming through the A gaps, the B gaps, like that's coming through. The guards and the centers, and it's gonna be a tough thing. Tyler Steen is fine. He's had some playing time and had some starts this season just due to injuries, but certainly not something that you can kind of just brush over as like, okay, just next guy up sort of thing.
Yeah.
So certainly something to watch here, but we have him put on the screen. Yes, Dickerson does have extensive experience playing center. He actually played all 5 spots during his college career. So he's played tackle, he's played center, guards, all that. He was, as a senior at Alabama in 2020, Dickerson was a unanimous first-team All-American center and won the Remington Trophy as the best center in college football. So, not a bad guy to be replacing Cam Jurgens. They're going to be rolling out with a big offense. They already have a big offensive line. They're going to be even bigger with Dickerson at center and Steen playing guard, filling in for Dickerson at guard there. So we'll see, but certainly something that we wanted to point out here. We actually have a video John Clark posted of Dickerson warming up, which is good. Got to get the reps in there beforehand, since again this seemed like it was basically a game time decision. Like literally a little over an hour ago, it looked like, okay, maybe Cam Jurgens is going to play, stretching, all that kind of stuff. Everyone here is used to it, right? Being Sixers fans, like they're all used to Embiid going out there and warming up, and then all of a sudden 30 minutes before he's taken out of the game or can't play in the game. So we're used to that kind of stuff. Similar stuff happened here. So this is John Clark. It looks like Landon Dickerson will be a center. He'll be taking all this. He's been taking a lot of the pregame snaps of Mekhi Becton, who plays right guard, and then Lane Johnson at right tackle here. So we can play this quick video here. On the right there. Get the ball back. Yeah. Snap here. Looks pretty good. I mean, Hurts is not the tallest guy either. There's small things where okay, he hasn't played it since 2020, right? 5 years ago. Played center. Everyone has different guys where they want the ball. Like kind of stuff. Slow down plays. Slow plays too. And we've seen it where Hurts gets a bad snap and it blows up an entire drive. You're going down the field, and all of a sudden a 2nd and 10 goes to a 3rd and 20, and you're done.
Clean snaps are the key here. But it's a good point as well with the height thing. Having Dickerson, who's 3-4 inches taller than Cam Jurgens out there, and Becton's one of the biggest dudes in the league. Not that it's been an issue at all. He's been phenomenal. But still, at the center, you're standing right over him. That might be an adjustment, which I'm sure.
Yeah, Hurts got to see over it, right?
And I'm sure they took maybe some reps in practice, kind of possibly preparing. They prepare for all these different, type of situations, but definitely something to look out for. Luckily, like we talked about, Dickerson has experience of this. That is the one positive there, but we'll see how it plays out, man. Just let Saquon do his thing too. They still got some great offensive linemen in there.
Yeah, no, they'll have a very high touted offensive line with the Birds. Let's move over to the Commanders, who I know we've been harping a lot on the Eagles with Jurgens. Eagles are mostly healthy, but the Commanders suffered some injuries here. Daron Payne, really good defensive tackle for the Commanders, and their guard, Sam Cosmi, who arguably is their best offensive lineman, both out today, which is huge for the Eagles. Daron Payne would be lining up against, let's say, Dickerson or Steen or any of those kind of guys in the middle there, really good run stopper, one of their best defensive linemen. In terms of stopping Saquon Barkley, for example, that's a huge win for the Eagles. And then Sam Cosmi, best offensive lineman, and he's a guard, so he's lining up against Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis and Milton Williams, these kind of guys who are having a great playoffs. So you could really see a guy like Jalen Carter, who's been feasting all entire playoffs, certainly feast some more in this game here against the Commanders.
Yeah, the Eagles win in the trenches, man. That's where they're built on, the offensive line, the defensive line, and to have injuries against the Commanders or with the Commanders, that's a big advantage there because Jalen Carter's a one-man wrecking crew. It doesn't matter who he's going against. He could be the best offensive lineman in the league, and they're missing one of their best guards. That is a huge opportunity for Jalen Carter to be a game wrecker in this one.
Yeah. Speaking of that, being a game wrecker, I wanted to talk about some Eagles X factors. Is Jalen Carter your X factor, or are you going with someone else?
I mean, there's so many guys I could pick. I could pick the whole team for you. There's so many different ways you go about this. I really think just with the news here, I mean, I know we talked about for the first 10 minutes of this segment so far, but honestly, having Steen in there, I'm looking literally at Tyler Steen just to see how he plays with this offensive line because that could open up a lot of things. I mean, we talk about Saquon, how dominant he is, and you're a product of your offensive line. We saw him on the Giants. He was great, but the offensive line stunk, and he did not produce what he did on the Eagles so far. So to have Steen in there, I don't think it's going to be a dramatic fall off, but I look to him as kind of the level of concern, maybe an X factor there to see how Dickerson plays off him as well at center. That's kind of more of a question mark, maybe not an X factor, but you can look at it either way. And then, I mean, we kind of talked about Jalen Carter. I'm going to have two. And Jalen Carter. I mean, that dude, just the way he can blow up a drive. He can just blow up a drive and he can go from, hey, it's 1st and 10 and you blink and it's 3rd and 22 because he got a sack on you. He puts pressure. He forces just so many different things on the defensive end. He's a phenomenal talent.
Yeah, no, actually, I added him into my same game parlay. I did Jalen Carter 1+ sack, which I believe it was right around plus 100. It seems like kind of gave me that. I know he's been double teamed a lot this playoffs. The Rams did a great job of double teaming him. Same thing with the Packers, even though they did not double team late in that game against the Rams, which ultimately led to Carter getting that sack and stopping that drive, which seemed like the Rams are gonna go down and score to win that game. My X factor is kind of goes alongside with Jalen Carter. It's Nolan Smith out on the edge. Jalen Carter has opened up a lot for Nolan Smith and the whole entire defensive line just because he really garners at those double teams there. Nolan Smith's had an amazing playoffs. He's had to step up because, again, no Brandon Graham. They missed him most of the season there, veteran presence, and was having a great season before he got out there. So it's been fine. But Nolan Smith, outside of Jalen Carter, has been their best defensive lineman these playoffs. Is a guy draft as Jalen Carter late in that first round. I remember around the time of the draft, it seemed like they were going to pick Nolan Smith in that 10 slot, which they ended up, Jalen Carter fell and they were able to get him. But he's a guy who's been undersized and kind of overlooked. Didn't play a whole lot last year. Added a bunch of muscle, added some weight on, and has had an amazing playoffs here. Maybe not showing up in the stats, but the QB pressures and everything like that has been excellent for Nolan Smith. And just another injury. I know he's not going to maybe be lining up against the guards, but switching around on defense, you certainly have those types of plays where he can kind of feast. And you're going to need a guy too, Jaden Daniels is fast, so as great as Jalen Carter is, and Jordan Davis, Milton Williams, all these guys, they're not as fast. So I could see Jaden Daniels escaping that, but Nolan Smith is fast. He can keep up with the Jaden Daniels, and I think could contain him a little bit better than some of the other guys.
Yeah, I mean the big over is on a certain offense out of our ability to score. I really feel like this might be a high-scoring game for the Eagles specifically. It comes down to can they stop Jaden Daniels and their offense, which has been on an absolute heater this playoff. And what did they put up against the Lions? 40-something points, right? It was close to that, or high 30s. It was a very high-scoring game. So if the defense can contain Jaden Daniels and make him, run and force some passes, I think we have a shot at winning this game because I'm not worried about our offense. I'm really not.
Yeah, we got a comment from Philly Nuts. Screwed about without Cam, really ridiculous. Man, I do not think they're totally screwed. Again, we showed earlier, Landon Dickerson has experience at center, very good offensive lineman, and Tyler Steen has also gotten some reps in there. Certainly not as good as what it could be, but unfortunately, this time of the year, people get banged up. They're getting, but they're on their 19th game of the year.
Yeah, it's a lot, man.
Or this will be their 20th game. Yeah, 20th game of the year.
Game 30,
that's a lot of games to play and small stuff like back. That's reasons why he's retired in the first place, because he didn't want to be, a hunchback in Notre Dame the rest of his life. Right? Couldn't use his back and everything like that. So I wouldn't say, totally screwed, man up, that kind of stuff. He may end up playing in this game depending on what happens.
Yeah, he is active. That's one thing. It's not that he's out. He is active.
Completely out. He's going to suit up. He went through his pregame warmups. Obviously, something wasn't right. I don't know if he called himself out or they wanted him out. You know, I mean, I don't know that entire dynamic. But, the Eagles have a good offensive line. The other guys, Mailata and Lane Johnson and Leonard Dickerson and Mekhi Becton, they're just going to have to step up just that much more to make up for Tyler Steen or Leonard Dickerson struggles. And hey, Stalin, he's amazing. He's like the best offensive line coach in the league. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure since this is not like a complete surprise because he was very limited in practice on Friday, it's not a complete surprise that Juergens may be out. So I'm sure they prepped, like you said earlier, like they prepped some of these other guys to be ready. Tyler Steen's gotten reps this season. Other guys on the offensive line have gotten reps this season, for the Eagles. And I'm sure they're ready to go. They may have to change, play calling a little bit, but it's feed Saquon today and let him, kind of do his thing, which kind of leads us to our next topic we wanted to cover here. Saquon Barkley rushing record, which I know we've kind of talked about the last few weeks here. We've been hearing about it, the regular season, all that kind of stuff. But actually, he's not very far away of beating like the all-time record, including postseason. This is from Jessica Versky here. Eagles Saquon Barkley would be amazing to get 148 rushing yards to break Terrell Davis's record for most in a single season, including playoffs. This is a quote from Saquon here. I'm aware of what the record is and how close I am, but winning and moving on is what matters. Numbers don't matter, which – he can certainly back that up considering, he didn't go forward in the last regular season game. He's gotten taken out of multiple fourth quarters in the regular season, everything like that. So he's not just saying that. He's backing it up. He wants to win today. If he gets over 148 rushing yards, I think you're pretty much guaranteed to win at that point. That's looking pretty good. If you're getting that many rushing yards, you don't have to pass the ball and rely on Jalen Hurts to throw 200, 250-plus passing yards, which has kind of been their DNA, right? Like, I think there was a stat of, like, Hurts in the playoffs when he throws over 200 yards, or maybe it's 250. They're like 0-3, but they're like 4-1 when he throws under that. That's kind of their DNA. They are rush first offense. Saquon will get fed the rock. He had like over 25 carries in the last game. I'm sure he'll get close to that again today. And if he is doing that and gets close to 140 yards, they're definitely a very good spot because that means they haven't had to rely on Hurts throwing the ball 40 times.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard not to be a run-first team when you have the best running back in the league. You have the best line in the league. Those are two perfect combinations there, and it makes sense. And there's a lot of – we're looking at incentives, but I like Saquon's mentality. It's not about the numbers. And like you said, he showed that with the rushing record in the regular season. He don't give a shit. When you look back at his career, it's about, hey, how many rings do you have? And that's what matters, and they are 2 wins away from saying, hey, Saquon has a ring, which is a big thing. A lot of players don't have a ring, so they want it, man. I mean, Jalen Hurts, we can go on and on with the whole list, but it's a big one, man. It's a big one, and you can see the incentives here. I mean, he has a chance to make $250K in both this game, and then if you win the Super Bowl, that's $500K to his pocket. Not that it really matters for a guy that's Saquon, but still, compared to other positions, we talk about the running back position the whole offseason, how it's underpaid and undervalued. There's some money there as well. There's some incentive.
Yeah, no, he has a statistic here. Saquon Barkley's averaging 137.5 scrimmage yards per game against the Commanders. Only player to average more against a single opponent in NFL history is Jim Brown, who averaged 147.9 per game against the Eagles. So anytime you bring up Jim Brown, you're in good company there. Yeah. Saquon, again, the Commanders don't have like a highly touted defense. They got some good guys in secondary, Marshon Lattimore, and a few names there. Mm-hmm. But their defense is not anything to like write home about, right? Like last week we talked about like the Rams, and they had an amazing D-line. They showed up. Jerry Verse and all those guys out there. The Packers have very good defense. You could argue that the Commanders have the worst defense of the 3 teams that they've played.
So seriously.
Or, including, if you do the Commanders, Packers, and Rams, you could argue they have the worst defense there. I mean, they really do rely very heavily on Jayden Daniels. They have a decent running game of Brian Robinson, but they rely so much on Jayden Daniels, and they've come back in a lot of games. I would argue Bale had gotten bailed out in some. The Hail Mary against the Bears, some other times in these games they won earlier in the season too against the Eagles with Kenny Pickett playing most of that game. That probably shouldn't have been a win if Hurts stayed in that game. Right. So there's a lot of stuff that you can kind of write home about here in this game. But we'll look to Saquon Barkley to kind of carry the Eagles in this game, which leads us to our score predictions. Again, we have Eagles are favored by 6. I believe the over-under is, let's see here, for the Eagles game. I think it's like 46 and a half. 46 and a half, which is a little bit higher than last week's game, I believe. I think it was like 43 and a half last week, which makes sense. Commanders have gotten in like crazy shootouts and all that kind of stuff this entire season, and including the postseason. against some of these teams here. I'm gonna go unless you want to go first. I was gonna
You
say,
got it. Let's hear it. Let's hear
I
it.
think they can rack up some points against the
Same.
Commanders.
Yeah.
I think they're gonna put up 30 plus. I'm gonna give them 31.
Okay, I like it.
And I think the Commanders can technically cover just because they're so used to coming back. They go for it a lot on fourth down too, which can certainly bite them in the ass. But like they're going to have a lot of possessions, a lot of chances to put up points. They've come back OT in regulation, all that. So I don't think it's going to. I think they'll still cover. I think it'll be 31-27. I think last drive, Jane Daniels will have the ball in his hands. They can't just kick a field goal. They're down 4. They need to go for the touchdown. The Eagles clamp up just like they did last week.
I like it. I'm going to go a little more high scoring, which is crazy.
Incredible.
I got us at 35 points.
Ooh.
And I got the Commanders at 17. Yeah, I think it's a blowout. I think the Jaden Daniels train, all that hype around him, it comes to an end here in Philadelphia. NFC Championship. I remember the last time, or at least when we played the Vikings, back in, what was that, 17, we blew them out. They've had some really good moments in the NFC Championship, especially at home. I'm confident this Eagles team, top to bottom, is better at almost every single position, maybe besides quarterback, which still, once again, let's keep perspective here. It is a rookie coming into a hostile environment in the league. A lot of pressure here. This is not just a normal regular season game. The stakes here to go to the Super Bowl. I just think the lights might be too bright, and hopefully the Eagles get it done here, man. I'm confident in this team. Like I said, better at every position. Let's get this done, man.
Yeah, a few stats here. We'll actually have the NBC Sports pregame up here. The Commanders haven't played in the NFC Championship game since 1991. So they had a long drought. That was actually against the Lions back in 1991. So they're hungry. They got nothing to lose in this game, right? Eagles again favored by 6.
Yep.
A lot of money on the Eagles. They're playing with house money here, and that kind of stuff can be scary, right? If they lose, hey, it's a great season, yada yada yada. I mean, all the hype this week has been Jane Daniels is the best rookie quarterback ever, and all this kind of stuff. Eagles need to shut them up. Something that you need to, you got to strike first in this game. I'm not saying that if you win the coin toss, you need to receive the ball, but you need to strike first in this game, get the crowd into it. They're going to be in it, but you can't let the Commanders take them out of it. And Eagles can play from behind, but that's not their biggest strong suit. Run game, running the clock, their 10-minute drives are their kind of forte there. So we'll see. Let us know too in the comments if you got score prediction there. I went 31-27.
35-17.
35-17.
Blowout. Give the ball to Saquon. Good things happen. Give the ball to Saquon.
I love it.
Speaking of wins.
Maybe get a dub just like the Sixers did last night. We're going to switch gears here and talk about the 76ers who are on a 2-game win streak. They beat the Bulls last night. Little back-to-back dubs there. Bulls last night. And then the Friday night win against the Cavs. Wanted to kind of talk about this game a little bit. We'll get into the PG injury. He missed the second half because of an injury to his pinky.
You can't make this shit up, man.
You can't make it up.
You can't make this shit up.
Here. Here's a little box score, which is why you see Paul George only played 13 minutes, had 9 points.
PG-13.
It's only played in the first half. Yabusele with 6 points, 6 rebounds, and 4 assists. So he didn't do a whole lot here. He was 0 for 5 from 3, so a little uncharacteristic of him in the season. Big game, though, from Tyrese Maxey, who played 43 minutes in this game.
Holy Tibbs.
And that's the second half of a back-to-back. That's like Tibbs Knicks style right there.
God
playing
damn.
43 minutes there. Had 31 points, and they needed every 31 or all 31 points of that. I mean, they won by piece mark, but again, big impact from Maxey. He had 5 threes, 5 of 13 from 3, 12 of 23 from the field, 9 assists too. So he wasn't just scoring points. He was passing the rock too. Eric Gordon, 13 points. He's had a good streak here. A guy who
said it, man.
Could potentially, if the Sixers want to, could probably get some second-round picks for him.
Yeah, or you package him with something if you're going for it. Who knows?
Yeah, could certainly package. He's not making a whole lot of money, so that's packaging. You're not going to get a lot there. But I think a team that is contending wants a guy who can space the floor because Eric Gordon 3 threes in this game. That's pretty much all he does. He had 9 shot attempts, and 8 of the 9 were 3-pointers. A lot of which I'm sure you've seen are 3 feet behind the 3-point line. He'll shoot it. Doesn't matter. And then last guy that had a big game here, 22 points from Kelly Oubre. Had a big game Friday night. He has 12 rebounds too, so we out-rebounded anyone on the Sixers.
Right.
Shot 9 of 18 from the field, 2 of 5 from 3. Kind of did it all.
Well, the game before too, Kelly, it's funny, a lot of his rebounds, which he does get boards, but a lot of his rebounds are off his terrible attempts, and then he'll go for it'll count as rebounds. It's the putback. Right, a little right back up. But I mean, no, it's a nice thing to see the Sixers have back-to-back wins. We haven't been able to say that pretty much at all this year. It's been slim pickings, but for them to at least have a decent performance on the road on a back-to-back to win this, against a Bulls team that's not that great. Let's keep it real, but still technically a better record than us. It's refreshing. I guess the real question is, are the Sixers bad at tanking? Do they want to tank? Where are we going? I think my mindset is, hey, whatever players they put out there, whether it's Maxey, Paul George, they're going to go for the win. Maxey's not going to sit out there and brick threes on purpose. They're going to play their ass off like they always do. And you can tell because Maxey played pretty much the entire game, right? They're going for it, and they're going to attempt. And we'll look at the schedule in a bit, but we'll talk about PG first.
Yeah, so PG, again, we've mentioned he did not play in the second half due to a little bit of a pinky injury for him. This is actually from Aaron Grugan. Yeah, this is from last night. So she mentioned will not return to the Sixers Bulls game with left pinky.
It's his arm, Vooch's arm.
Left pinky. Oh. You see right there, the left pinky. Oh.
Into this pinky there.
Oh. He's going to get an MRI this other day.
You see right there, the left pinky. Oh.
So we're going to get an MRI today.
Left pinky. Oh.
For that injury. Doesn't seem like anything like too big. They do have 2 days off. They're off today. They're off tomorrow, and then they have a back-to-back Tuesday, Wednesday. So we'll see. The MRI is supposed to be today, you said, or yesterday?
I don't know if it's today or tomorrow, but they said it might be today. I forgot. I saw a tweet. Don't quote me on that.
Yeah, I assume they try to get it in as soon as possible to see the extent. It didn't look too bad. It looked, maybe like a little extension. That's usually something too. They can they can tape up the hand. You can play with it.
He'll be on that.
I think it was on his. I think it was on his right hand. It looks like his right arm, which is definitely a little tougher since he's not left-handed. But we'll have updates as that comes. Again, a back-to-back Tuesday, Wednesday. Wouldn't be surprised if he misses some games up here. At least one of those two. He finally plays in one of these back-to-backs, right? Because he's old and has been hurt a lot of this year. And of course, he gets hurt in like something that's just like so minor as like a pinky, right? It's not anything crazy. It's certainly better than tearing an ACL or being out the whole entire season. But it's still like just unfortunate that it's just another thing to add to the list of just unfortunate injuries, which guy we know very well, Joel Embiid, has had many, many of those too. As we mentioned on Friday, or I think was it Friday we came out with that video? Yeah, we came out with a video Friday talking about Sixers, kind of a check-in. Or sorry, that was yesterday. We did a little Sixers check-in.
Saturday, yeah. Whoops.
Talked about Embiid, going to be reevaluated in a few days there. For that, as Shams had a presser, or not presser, but in the broadcast mentioned they want to get in a better relationship of knowing when he's going to play or not, which has been something that's
good luck.
Consistent of him his entire career, which is one of the only things he's been consistent at. It's been consistently questionable in all these games.
It's a good one.
So I would be surprised if he plays in either of those Tuesday, Wednesday games. They're at home. Tuesday's Lakers, pretty big matchup there, primetime game against the Lakers. And we'll talk, we can kind of get into the schedule here. Yeah, the next game after those two is Friday, Denver at home. So they do have a pretty long home stretch. Home stretch here. Not stench. Denver Friday after that, and then Boston Sunday, Dallas Tuesday, Miami. Yeah, actually, let's share this here. Here we go. So again, they're still kind of going on their gauntlet of a schedule. They've gotten through some of the tougher teams here, but you got again no game today, no game Monday, so 2 days off, which is big. Coming off a back-to-back. Los Angeles, LA, that's TNT primetime Tuesday night. And then Wednesday, Sacramento team that struggled to begin the year fired their coach Mike Brown, and then have since been pretty hot. Friday, Denver. We all know what that implication is against the Nuggets, or a good team.
Man,
yes, absolutely stomped by them last game. Boston, amazing team. Dallas, good team. I mean, all these teams really start getting easy. You got Brooklyn and Chicago as you start going down some of these games. Toronto, not until you get to
but even
middle of February. But then you got Boston sprinkled in there. New York,
and
Golden State. Some of these teams are pretty good. Like the rest of the way, you don't have a lot of easy games. Not a lot of easy games. So the only thing they can hope for is, again, this is a long home trip. They are home for a little over a week here. They got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 straight home games against some good teams. But again, they are at home.
I will say, if Embiid doesn't, if for some reason he's extended and it's another 7 days, whatever, if he doesn't come back by February 5th against the Miami,
the day right before the
if he's not back, they're shutting him down for the season. I'm almost, I want to say 100% confident in that. There's just no point in that, because whatever the record is, unless they somehow go on a win streak, which is almost impossible without him against the teams, I would love for him to come back versus LA on Tuesday. I think that Friday game against Denver, home versus Jokic, would be a possible one. You can circle, hey, this might be a big target.
2 game,
you got a lot of prime time. Man. I mean, you got TNT, which is a big one, Kenny and Shaq and all them who honestly, they either hate Embiid when he's out, they love Embiid, who knows? I've seen very little positive stuff per usual, but yeah, I think look for that Tuesday game to be a possible one if he really is good to go. Hopefully we find out and get an update tomorrow, which would be awesome. But who knows, man? Who knows? At some point this week, I'd love for him to come back and be healthy, but we don't know. It's always an uncertain question mark.
That is with him. But I want to wrap this one up here, talking about the NBA standings, which was looking very neat not too long ago, but have again strung together 2 straight wins. And last night's win against the Bulls was a big one. They are standing 1 spot ahead of the Sixers. They're now currently 1 game behind, so they're 18.5 out of first, which is not out of the question. They can certainly go on some crazy run here, win the rest of their games, and somehow finish first place. Probably not happening. And then the Bulls 17.5. So they're only 1 game behind the Bulls here. So as bad as it has been,
that's the scary part.
And as much as I've leaned the last week or two to them tanking, they're currently sitting only a game out of the play-in. Certainly a little bit more of a fight to get to the Hawks or the Heat. If you want to, because the 10 seed is still a tough road. You got to win 2 games on the road, 2 straight wins on the road. I mean, not saying any of these teams are too hard to win. But certainly something where, the Magic, decent team. They got Paolo and Franz. That's going to be a tough team to win on the road. Miami Heat, all these teams will certainly be tough. But the first step is, get into the play-in, keep in that spot, which looks like, again, they're only 1 game out of that. String along some wins here. They could certainly find themselves in that, which it seems like they're going for it, considering how they've been playing, keep some of these guys in, like Maxey and other guys here. Form is going to be tough. But, you're, 5.5 games out of 6. That's ideally where you want to be. That's where the Pistons are right now, a game above 500. Sixers 10 games above 500, so they can sneak a little bit. You don't have to go on a 10-game win streak, but you gotta win series. You gotta win, 2 out of 3, that kind of stuff, to slowly chip away at some of these teams out of them.
They can start to make a run here. I'm not saying that they're going to be, a lock for hosting a home playoff game, right? That's their playoff series. That's not likely, but they have a very good chance to make the play-in, a very, very good chance to make the play-in at this point, just with the way that I think they can play. We've seen potential, them being the Cavs, who are the number 1 team in the East record-wise. Still think the Celtics are better.
Yeah.
But it's an uphill battle, but I really think the Sixers team, if they can get Embiid back, they're better than, I think, every play-in team that you see right there.
Yeah.
And
absolutely. They're better. We talked about it before. They with Embiid, they are easily a top 5 team in the East. They're better than the Pacers. They're better than the Pistons, Magic, Heat, Hawks, and then everything after that is arguable. They're arguably better than the Knicks, arguably better than Bucks, Celtics, Cavs. But that's that's unfortunately just not something you really even ask right now, because it's just not. No, he's just not healthy right now. What's up, Sheree? Appreciate it. Yeah,
Birds,
go Eagles.
Birds.
It's Birds and Sixers live right here. If you just hopped in, listen back to it. We're going to wrap this one up here in just a few moments. Talked about the Birds in the beginning. Talked about, again, Cam Jurgens active in this game, not going to start. Dickerson's going to play center for them, who normally plays left guard, and then Steen's going to start at left guard. So a little bit of troubles there, but the Commanders have their own. No Deron Payne, no Sam Cosmi for them in this game. It's going to come down to the run game. Can they get that established? And hey, it's home cooking, because they're, again, at the link, 6-point favorites in this matchup. So go Birds in this one. Appreciate everyone listening in this. If you got to listen back to the recording after this. Got the Eagles game starting about 30 minutes here, 3 o'clock Eastern time. Hopefully they can take care of business here and then relax during the Bills and Chiefs game and see who they play in the Super Bowl.
Let's go to the Super Bowl, baby. Come on.
So hit that like and subscribe button below. Appreciate everyone hopping in here. Again, we're giving away $25 to a random sub for every 100 subs. Just hit 400 yesterday or 2 days ago. So we're going to announce the next winner soon. Still time to join that if you haven't subbed yet. For that, we'll announce that soon in this upcoming week. Also got a private chat. Shout out to Sheree, who's in that, and others here that have hopped in during this live. If you want to be added, message us about that. Thank you all for watching. Go Sixers and Birds. No Sixers game today, but as always, go Sixers. Birds game here.
Go Birds, baby.
30 minutes. Let's get this done, baby.
Let's go.
Bye, everyone. Have a good Sunday. Cheers, everyone.
Cheers.